Georgia is not happening yet.
On the second.
You're not gonna be here at all?
No, and it'll probably the one night people will go, we'd like to buy something. Carl will be here. I'm giving you my business card saying, this is my deal. This thing, 11 months ago, yeah.
I just started. It'll be a couple seconds.
Afterwards, can I get on the big screen and show people how to set
Sure.
a W-9 from Backpage?
Sure. No, it's typically a long wait, like 3 weeks or something like that. One of us is winning. One of us is going to win, by the way.
You know we are great. And
Pretty gay.
that may not be the gayest. We are. We're not on here. We're not
I am.
Oh, that's special.
Yeah, it is special.
You make me nervous that we're not connected, but.
We're already streaming anyway.
Okay, all right, I think we will go ahead and start. Thank you all for coming. Don't normally have a lot of meetings in August. I thought y'all wanted one, so let's have one. I would back up and say I wanted to thank you for my 15-day vacation. In my was a little, intimidating to begin with. But I felt like I needed it. I was at this point, we're at this cusp of, I couldn't take off in 2008 because of the recession and just buying firm. I felt like I needed to stay here. And I took no vacations in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I went nowhere. My car parked right there 7 days a week so our clients could see us there. Then I felt like, damn, January 2013, the bucket's overflowing with business, and so I couldn't leave in 2013 or 14 because we were too busy, and you've got to strike a balance. At 50, I just felt like, if you can't take off, what the hell are we working for? If the business cannot survive without me being here every day, A, I'm making you codependent on me, and so I'm not doing you a very good job. And B, it's not healthy for the firm. I mean, there has to be a mechanism in place with the 23 employees and the 65 agents that we have, so that we're not totally dependent. I could be in a coma someday. The company doesn't need to shut down just because I'm disconnected. But I felt like, A, we needed to try to test and see. We have been working most of the year to try and get an organizational chart in play that works so that you don't have to depend on me. I want to be here for you. I want to be available. I want to be your mentor. And I am this thing. But I don't want you to feel like I can't survive if I'm not available for 1 hour, because there's going to be periods in life I'm not available. If I'm at the planning commission, or if I'm at a meeting, or if I'm on a listening appointment with Ann that I can't be here to answer Becky's question, Becky needs to be able to get the answer to her question. And so we've been devising, and we're going to work more in September to show you how that's working. But it's working fairly well. I think you guys are utilizing Rhonda as an agent resource the way that it's designed to be. She can answer 85% of all the questions that you could ask me. She's been with my clients. She's an experienced agent. She's trained. She asks me questions almost every day that I'm here. She asks me a question just to verify. Just like I sometimes ask questions to our attorneys and to people at HAR. I mean, I have to have mentors that I can go out to. And so I think it's worked well. And of course, Brandon's available to answer a lot of questions. And I am. I mean, they have internet service and cell phone service in Argentina. Didn't have it in Cuba, but they have it in Argentina. And I can communicate just fine with people. But thank you for that. I have one more little vacation that I'm going on here tomorrow. Part of my Billy Reed Shindig deal. It is really designed to motivate me as an entrepreneur. That's why I did it last year, and I'm doing it again. They have the model that I want to use in order to run a company. They are a world-class, billion-dollar industry that have chosen quality of life over impressionism. You know, their corporate headquarters is in Florence, Alabama. It is not on Wall Street, nor does it have to be in Paris. They can run a world-class operation with world-class employees, and many of their employees, the chief financial officer lives in Dallas. That's where he wants to live. And the chief development officer lives in Nevada. And they just go to Florence ever so often. They can Skype and they can communicate and they can be in New York, and they run a very good, but they value their store managers and they want them to have a quality of life. They want their sales agents to be motivated and they want to be bored. I wore all Billy Reed today in honor of Susan and Yenny, who did not know about Billy Reed. These are very Billy Reed shoes. These are Billy Reed pants. This is a Billy Reed shirt. This is a Billy Reed jacket. Predominantly made in Florence, Alabama. You do not have to make your clothes from Indonesia or Sri Lanka in order to survive and compete in the world-class arena. But I'm going, I mean, it is their deal. It's a Southern tradition. They bring all their employees to Florence. They bring a lot of their major clients. It's not a big event. There are going to be 400 or 500 people there. They bring major food. It's be Southern style. John Besh will do the food. They had Alabama Shakes as the music people. I don't know.
I don't think I can miss you.
Very small concerts. There's a little fashion deal. There's a company baseball game, you know, where Billy Reed's son is the pitcher, and he has one team, and the chief financial officer has another little team, and store managers, and it's really just their bonding mechanism for them to get together and regroup in what is the middle of the summer. It's just not a huge fashion time in America or whatever, and so it's their way of going out and bonding, and I'm going to do that. So I'll be gone Wednesday to Nashville, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning flying back or whatever. But totally available. They have total communication in Florence, Alabama, and one of the only Frank Lloyd Wright houses in Alabama is there. So Florence is kind of an industry level town. But I will be there. But I thought what we would do today is just kind of regroup. August is I hate the summer. I hate the heat. I don't like Houston in the summer. It's typically a slow time. It's no fun to sell houses in August. They're hot as hell. You ever go in a lot of new construction? Earlier in the month, I had to change 4 times. You go and you show houses at 10 o'clock and you're sweating. You go and change at 11:30. You go and show houses at 1 o'clock. You're sweating. You ever do 4-story townhouses with no air conditioning, with sheetrock dust everywhere? You must go wash your face and change your clothes again. You go out at 3:30 for the walkthrough, where we designed a swimming pool. I had to spray it out on the yard in the middle of the heat with 100-degree temperature. You go change for my 5:30 meeting that I had that day. And that's just typical August, which is fine. I mean, it's the climate in which, look, I love the heat much more than the cold. I don't want to get dressed up in the snow, but I mean, I knew that I was going to try and get out of the heat. Argentina was really chosen because it was 50-degree weather and it was not 90-degree weather. But I mean, it's pretty hot. Our sales are typically slower, and the areas that we sell in, this does not always apply to Cinco Ranch or Pearland, but we tend our clients tend to be oil and gas kind of driven people whose budgets are not driven by the summer, so they know their bonuses in October, and so they go and buy houses. They know that if they're going to start work January 1, they have to go buy a house in the fall. Young lawyers pass the bar in October, they get a job, they know if they're going to work in Vincent and Elkins or if they're going to have to go to Dallas. Their parents say go buy a house, you're going to be working 70 hours a week anyway. So I mean, we tend to sell the most of our houses in what is basically October, November, December, and what is basically March, April, and May. There's some drift over because if you get under contract in May, often they close in June or July. But those tend to be our busiest months. My agents who are female with children tend to go on vacation in July and August, as does Laura Sweeney and Richard Ray and Mike Molstead. That's when they go on vacation. They can't go on vacation in September, October, November, December, or January, or March, April, or May, or whatever. They can go somewhere Christmas Day, and they can go somewhere in August. So I knew it was going to be a little slower. We, as a firm, have been doing, I thought, very well in 2016. We weathered it better. We are not townhouse driven, land driven, in condos for the main part. But overall, statistically, we have have been up over last year. The market is doing about what I thought it was going to do. I tried to communicate this very well. I communicated very well. If you're not grasping it, I'm going to go over it one more time with you or whatever. When you have, same thing happened in 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're going to go back that way. When you have the sales phenomenon that we had in 2013, and let's just call that the benchmark year. It was pent-up demand. It was the longest period of hesitancy that Houston had had since the oil situation in the 70s and 80s. We've had 2001 planes crashes, in New York, and we've got a little, hiccup there, and the emotional phase of do I spend money or not? What's going to happen to the world, sort of thing. We had it in 2004 with the fall of Enron. There was huge impact in Houston, Texas, inside the loop for those sort of deals. We had it when Clinton was elected and they talked about healthcare reform, Hillary leading the charge. We did not sell any houses in West U because they didn't know the impact of medical reform during the Clinton administration. When all that kind of went away, we had more certainty and things were just fine. So I see this pause happening from time to time. Happened in 2008, but the pause lasted longer. Even though the Houston economy was relatively strong, we've had a hurricane, which was emotional. The trees were down and people had to tell blue tarps. It creates this certain fear in the world. And then you have this national deal, AIG, and everything going on, General Motors. It causes pause. People don't like uncertainty. But it lasted a long time. It lasted 2008, 9, 10, 11, and we were getting by, but there was still this fear of, are we going to be able to recover as a country, and what's going to be the impact of this long period of is it a depression? Is it the worst recession in history of the country since the Great Depression, sort of thing? And we get to 2013, I think people were just tired of bad news, and they just decided, look, I had a job in 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'm going to keep moving forward. We had that period where there wasn't a lot of new construction, there wasn't a lot of investment from the banking side or whatever, and so we had pent-up demand. More buyers, not enough houses, boom. And it was the perfect storm for this great opportunity for prices to rise pretty rapidly and the number of sales to be so positive because we were comparing really shitty years. 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 were pretty bad. So you go to 13 and you start having positive news, and positive news creates positive news. It created the frenzy. Everyone felt like, and some of you were new and we were saying you weren't here in 2013. Everyone assumed in 2013 that they couldn't find, if they found a house they liked, they assumed the next one was going to take 5 months to find and it was going to cost more. So you're going to search in vain, try and buy a house, and you're going to get outbid by someone with more money and more insane than you are. And so it creates this frenzy. And so it happened all of 2013. People were not, they didn't care about the price. What's another $10,000? What's another $20,000? What's another $50,000? Sometimes I would go on a listing appointment, I say the house is worth, it's really worth $750, we should try $789. We'd go it on for $789, and I'll be damned if we didn't get an offer for $850. The sellers think you're pretty stupid when you tell them to list for $789 and you get $850. They're wondering if they should have listed for $860. So we have problems in the marketplace when there's a frenzy going on, but nobody seemed to care about the comps. Remember, we've gone through 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and everyone only looks backwards. You only average backwards, the number can only go downward. But nobody cared about comps in 2013. 2014, we're still rolling along here. And so it's good and it's still better, but it's people are wondering, am I insane or not? Can the prices go from $200 a foot to $300 a foot in 1 year's time? And in 2014, I was already seeing that people were weary. There were people going to go on pause, said, I'm not going to buy a house when it's this frenzy. I want to sell one in frenzy, but I don't want to buy one in the frenzy anymore. It doesn't feel good anymore. It doesn't feel good for the seller to give you nothing in the option period. You have termites? Fine. You treat it. I'm going to put it back on the market. If you don't buy it, I'm going to raise the price by $10,000. That happened to us time and time again in 2014. Starts leveling out a little bit. We get to 2015, and we already see Price of oil is the same way. Nobody wanted to pay $5 for gas around the nation. They didn't want oil at $110 a barrel. The economy doesn't fare well at prices that high or whatever. But it can't go from 20 to 110. It's got to balance at some point. And so if we go there, you're going to have more supply and it levels itself back out again. So 2015 rocks along here. We do pretty good. January, February, March, April, May. We start getting to what is oil now is adjusting. And that's going to create the psychological impact of our industry. What's happening to us is here, not to reality, it's the impact of oil going down. What will the impact be? Will the medical centers shut down? Will everyone be laying off? Is downtown going to be empty or the restaurant's going to be empty? And what you keep seeing is the amount of traffic. The number of people moving to Houston, Texas is greater this month than it was last month. The sales tax receipts are up. The number of, this is a very good phenomenon that I try and watch. The number of new electrical meters per month. That tells me how many new people really are we getting. And so, so we're still averaging last month 15,000 new electrical services than we had the month before. Okay? Not even compared to the year before, to the month before. And we've been averaging 15,000 more electrical meters all of 2016. This tells me we're adding 15,000 people, or we're adding more than 15,000 people. I mean, if we had a deal, there's more than one person living in many of those houses. But we added basically this 75,000 new electric service providers. 2016. Pretty interesting phenomenon, I think. Mm-hmm. Every restaurant that we go to is still full. Now we add 10 new ones every day, it seems like, and maybe 2 close, but we saw the net increase at restaurants, and you have people lining out the door. Just try and get your reservation at Colonia. You ain't going to be able to get in for 6 months over there. It's a reverse district. It's going to cost you $500 to eat there. They have Vietnamese French fusion food. It's very interesting how busy those restaurants are, even the more expensive restaurants. But sales peaking here, I think, in what was basically July and August of 2015. And so we have oil starting to fall. Oil starting to fall, you get pause. Pause means number of sales. We're not going to push ourselves forward. More houses. Houses still get under contract pretty well in August, but they fall out in the auction period. People are nervous. They're not going to take it. Seller only wants to give $3,000. Buyer wants $5,000. They're willing to break up and not buy a house over $1,000, over $500 again. We would have never had that in 13 or 14, but you have it all the time. People terminating over a stupid GFCI again or something. It doesn't really matter what it was. It was because they were nervous. It wasn't the $500 or the $1,000. It's, do I really want to buy a house if it's going to get cheaper next month or 3 months from now? Can't I just wait a little bit longer or whatever? Everyone assumes with the apartments that the apartment rents are going to go down, right? They haven't yet really gone down. They're more negotiable, but apartment rents, if they're going to go down, you bought in 2013 and 14 if you were in that rental. You sold your house at a high. You went to the rental unit for a year because you want to get in the frenzy, and the rental rate was going up. They escalated your rent. My ex, his rent at his apartment was $1,800 a month. 18 months ago. Then it went up to $2,100 a month. We did this 6-month renewal, just went up another $300. And so he's paying $2,400 a month that he used to pay $1,800 a month, and he's only doing these short-term extensions here. And so we get to August 2015, which is really what I want to compare to. And then we start getting this decline. So the headlines are going to be down. Headlines had to be down in August, September, October, November, December, because we're comparing to what were still historic highs. So the headline in the newspaper, sales are off. Sales are down 10%, sales are down 12%. That's what we heard all of August through December. Median price continued to rise at every one of those deals. There was no real instance that the median price or the average price fell. It actually increased, even during the period of time when the number of sales decreased or whatever. So this is on MLS. We're going to go over a few of these things. So if we just look, and I want to compare now to the back here, because I knew the sales headlines were going to be down in 2016. I mean, they had to be. Oil's going to be down. People are going to be fearful. It's an election year. Headlines are going to be mixed. And so it's hard to go to a seller or a buyer when they're, they can read the paper 3 days ago and say July sales are off. If you represent a seller, it kind of defends why you didn't sell their listing. That gives me a little ammunition to say, look, it's tougher to sell a house. Instead of doing a 3-month listing and then renewing, it's going to take longer to sell your house. And I think they need to hear that. They can't assume they're going to sell the house in the first month or the second month or third month. And if you're in the third month, you're going to have to do something in order to sell it in the fourth, fifth, or sixth. But the average house takes 4 or 5 months to sell these days. It's not going to sell it on the first day. Banks would be lovely if they sell the first time, but they probably won't today. And they'll probably fall out once, and it'll get under contract. Doesn't mean that it's not going to sell. It just means it's going to take a little longer to sell a house over there. So, and the headlines were about what I thought. And I think they're going to be down again. The headlines are going to be kind of poor in August again. It's going to, rained a lot. Sales are going to be down. But when sales dropped last year in September, October, November, December, and we go to compare in the latter part of 2016 to the latter part of 2015, headlines are going to be positive. I mean, they're going to be positive. You're going to see employment numbers tick up. You're going to see number of sales tick up. You're going to see a lot of positive indicators that I think are going to help people get them off the fence where they've been. You go to these open houses and people come 15 times. You're out showing people for 3 and 4 and 5 months. This hesitancy has been because I think it might get cheaper. I think you're going to see that will tend to end. It ends psychologically, because people like the fall more than they like July and August also. It's more fun to show houses. Neighborhoods are nicer. You try and show a house in August, I mean, the yards are, dead, it's hot, the mildew on the windows, the condensation in the windows, I mean, there's a lot of things going on. You try and show a house, you go down the street in October, you got everyone out running, you got the dog walkers are out, the bicycles are out, people are in their yard, flowers look fabulous, you don't have to have the heat on or the air on too much. I mean, it's a psychological impact of how much nicer our neighborhoods are in October, November, December, March, April, and May also. So when you look at the pending sales of what's going on, the number of pending sales is actually up. Going up here. So pending sales, when I compare to last year, just the last 3 months, and I'm looking at what's going on, here's last year and here's this year. Okay? Even though the headlines are bad, and I understand what the mindset of the headlines are going to be, the reality of it is we're still selling more houses and getting more houses under contract today than we got under contract 1 year ago. Okay? It's better. Got to convince the world that it's better. And it's not necessarily overly better, but it's statistically, while we were down this one little period in June for some particular reason, something must have happened last year, to jump it up right here, we basically were kind of in line of this net increase of about 8 or 9% of getting things under contract better than we did last year at this particular time. Even June of 2015, when oil was still up at about $90, $95 a barrel or whatever. So this is showing you how the months kind of work. And this is taking the whole city. And so it's kind of showing you it drops down in January. This is all that's kind of showing. Statistically, we're about where we have been, even when we compare 2014, 2015 to 2016, we're not that far off. It's going to be a little softer for the year across the city. I understand this is taking the whole city, so we're going to look at it broken down by zip code and by regions here in just a little bit. But overall, that's better than it was, really, when you look at it. The lows aren't quite as low, even as they were in 2014 or 15. Let's just go to another one. Keep going down.
Are the drops January?
The drops are generally January, yeah. They're January or February, and sometimes it's because the activity is 1 month later than here. So, days on the market is greater. I mean, I'm going to give you that the days on the market are greater, and we need to get used to the days on the market taking longer for the average house. It's skewed a little bit when you still have the new construction because it's taking longer because they're putting them on sooner. Before, we used to have great townhouses. We only put one on and then we sold it immediately and then we put on the other one. Well, they're more desperate today, and I get it. So now we're putting more of those new constructions on quicker. And So the days on the market are taking longer and it's skewing the number a little bit. I would not have put a house, I represent a lot of new construction, I wouldn't put it on until it was finished in 13 or 14 for two reasons. A, I didn't want to screw with the buyer. They were too much trouble. B, the seller was making more money by waiting. You don't want to get under contract for $900,000. It was worth $950,000 when they were finished, right? So they didn't want to put it on the market. They wanted to raise the prices, even the townhouses. Sold one at $400,000, then you went to $430,000 and $450,000 and $475,000. Now we're backtracking a little bit. We're going, we sold the last one at $479,000. This one needs to be $449,000, and we're still going down to $429,000. So it's skewing the numbers a little bit. The average house, resale, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $550,000 a night, taking longer to sell, and going to take longer to sell in a balanced market, but not significantly. New construction is probably taking the longest. Unremodeled houses can't even sell those things, so I mean, they're just going to have to hunker down for a while. So days on the market, I think going up. There's no doubt that it's going up compared to 13 to 14. So no, it is interesting to note if we compare to 2008, 9, and 10, we're at about half what we were in 2008, 9, and 10. About half. But nobody wants to think about 2008, 9, and 10. We're just going to compare 13 and 14 for a while. Prices continue to rise. The things that sell are the nicest houses, which raises the median price and the average price almost every month, okay? And it's showing back two things. A, it's the very highest price houses are not selling, so we're taking those out of the mix to some degree. But it's the unremodeled houses, the older houses, the 20-year-old houses, the Formica, the cultured marble, plate glass mirror, carpet stuff, rounded corners. Can't sell that stuff. Can't sell it. I mean, and I will continue to say, because it works for us, I cannot sell this kitchen. I cannot sell this kitchen. It was done 10 years ago. I can try. But if I were really, really, really smart, if I were really firm with the people, I'd say, paint the damn kitchen white and put in white subway tile, and it will sell for more money than if we try to sell the house. I can't do it. We can't do it across the market. It isn't working. So I'm doing this. I took Newcastle, it has beautiful stained cabinets, and I painted it white over there, and I got under contract in 1 week. I've been trying for 1 year to sell it with the stained cabinets. We got under contract 1 week later after the white kitchen. Okay? They said, I'm pretty smart. Why the hell didn't I tell them to paint it sooner, I guess? You know, but we had done other things. Newcastle needed a lot of work. We'd already been doing a bunch of work. But it's just, it doesn't mean I can't sell 1 out of 100. I mean, statistically, I'm just telling you, the buyer today feels like the safe bet for them to resell is the white kitchen with the Carrera or something about it. Like that, these subway tiles. It's hard to sell. We've got 30 10-year-old houses that have round granite and travertine and tumbled marble or 4x4s, whether they're on the diagonal or not. We can't sell those houses. I mean, we can't sell them today. It's not what the buyer wants. Prices continue to rise because the nicest houses sell the quickest and the bad ones stay on the market forever. Okay, go down a little bit more. Let's see what we got in here. The art of negotiation. Yourself room to negotiate. We are getting about 95–96% of the average price to the list price. Remember, the list price may have to be adjusted a couple of times. This isn't the original list price always or whatever. But definitely the buyer has to feel like they're getting a deal. The buyer's unwilling to pay full price for anything today. They just really are. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. So, I mean, we have to leave ourselves some room to negotiate or come to the realization, if you're at $499, they're going to pray they don't start at $400. Let's hope they start at $450. And you're going to land somewhere around $475 to $480, maybe $485. That buyer, psychologically, is not going to pay $499 today. They're only going to pay, they want less than the list price. And they want less than the list price at Neiman Marcus, and you want less than the list price at the Mercedes-Benz dealership, I assure you. No one is walking into the Mercedes-Benz dealership in Houston, Texas today and paying full price for that car, okay? They're not doing it. And so you're gonna have to leave yourself some room to negotiate. And if you're the buyer, I mean, you're gonna understand, they're gonna start lower than we might have wanted them to years before, but you just need to get used to the mindset, and the reality of it is, some are still selling for full price, and so there's a lot of them selling for 90% in order for us to get to 95. But we're gonna continue to see the art of negotiation. Even in better times, even in more sales, leave yourself some room to negotiate or whatever. So, of course, the peak time, 2014, we were getting over 100% in a lot of our market or whatever. So, you know, and we're doing better last year. We are not doing as well, and nor do I think it's going to improve significantly. Okay? This is helpful to anybody?
Uh-huh.
All right. It continues not to be very affordable, and so there's all kinds of conversations. We won't go there. We don't deal with a lot of this issue on the lower price houses. Let's not focus on any of that. I mean, it is harder and harder to have affordable housing. Okay, number of listings definitely increasing. Okay, and in times are bad, not a lot of people list houses. They're going to take the firm, take my advice, whatever. I have 20 houses I'm going to list soon. I'm not going to list them in August because it's a bad time to list a house. I'm going to make them wait. But I'm not the only one out there doing this. Other people are going to list their houses September 15th also. I'm not going to list them the day school starts back, you know, or right before Labor Day weekend. And so the number of listings, I think, is going to continue to increase, which is going to give the buyer more choices. Back in 2031, if you only had 4 houses for sale, you can only sell 4. So when times got better, we listed 8, then you could sell 6, you had a 50% increase, right? So the same thing's gonna happen. The number of sales will increase because the number of listings is more. There weren't enough things for sale in 2012 or 13. There were more things that you could sell, the number of sales could increase. We're going to continue to see more listings because it's going to be a better time to list in the fall of 2016. So I don't see how the number of listings is gonna get anything but the same that we've been saying. It will increase. Number of pending, so when I compare, you know, March of 2016, whatever this period is, to that same period, 2015, I'm higher. And if I compare it to 2014, I'm in line. So I'm really I'm getting the same number of houses for sale that I did. This is just one more proof of kind of what we talked about. The number of houses getting under contract is the same as it was in 13 and 14. A lot more fall out over financing, fall out over option period, but we're actually getting more houses than we used to under contract. Closing disproportionately a little less because people are more particular. You know, so I compare and I go and compare these things, and we're going to break it out because I think this is too complicated for the whole city, but actually we're doing fine in the number of sales. It's going to be awful. It was off about 10% in July. It's going to be off about 10% in August. You're going to see it be flat in September, and then you're going to see these increases in October, November, December. I think you're going to see 10 to 15% increases at the end of the year. Okay? I've stated it pretty good. All right, keep going down. Is there anything else? We already talked about that. Price per square foot, I think it's kind of interesting. I think they're going to, we had risen pretty high here in 14 and 15. We were getting higher. I think people are going to have to be realistic about the average price per square foot. We talked about this. We're going to move on to the other chart. All right, let's go to the other one right quick. Okay, what does all that kind of mean? It means, I think, get yourself prepared. I think it's going to be slower in August. Take yourself, I would go on vacation for Labor Day weekend. Think about pulling off my listing. Tell your listings, I knew it was going to be slow in August. You have to do something Labor Day weekend or the week after. You have to do something. Go do something to your house. Stage it, refresh the flowers, paint the front porch, power wash the damn thing, take it off and re-enter it, paint the front door, put some flowers on the island. I don't care, but go do something to get ready for the season. I cannot go sit at the Texan game in July when they're not playing. Okay? There's nobody playing at NRG Stadium. Okay, and I got a better chance of watching the game next month because they're going to have more games. Okay, I think it's time for the people to do something, and I haven't been a huge proponent of doing something. It can be lower the price by $1,000. I do statistically want to go and tell you, lowering the price has not resulted in increased sales. Okay? Adjusting the price, pulling it off and adjusting statistically, but lowering the price is sending the message to the buyer, nobody else wants it, wait and it will get cheaper. That's what it keeps saying, wait and it will get cheaper. It doesn't say buy me. It used to say buy me, I'm a bargain. It doesn't say that anymore. The message that we're receiving when we lower the price is, you know, you're much better off doing paint, stage, rephotograph, photograph at night, take an aerial photograph. Put less comments on the MLS. Quit filling it all up with a bunch of noise. Put 7 words versus 70. And put the flyer on the deal. Intrigue them, get them inside the house. Do something different, I think. We're gonna go over more of this in March. We're gonna have this, what do we do in September. September's sales meeting is gonna focus on what to do. Here's what I wanna go do also. In September, on Wednesdays, from 10 to 2, I wanna leave myself available to go with you to your listing. And I want us all to go that want to go. I'm willing to pay for buses or vans to go to these listings and give a pretty good critique of your listings. What they should do. What should the seller do? Okay? And that's what I think we're going to do in order to get them. If you have one that hasn't sold and they need to do something, I'm going to drive over there with you and we're going to give them a little sheet and say, you need to do this. Because we need to be more specific to get these people ready to sell a house in October, November, December. I'm going to be as specific, not necessarily critical, but pretty detailed of what I really think they need to do. And if they're totally out of line on the price, we're going to tell them you're totally out of line on the price. My commercial to that is on pricing and comps and things. I want us for just a period, for 30 days of September also. Do not even remotely consider the sold information. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Stop looking at solds and only look at the inventory. Let's price our listings based on the competition and what else someone can choose, not of some inventory number that's gone that we have nothing to compare that to anymore. We need to base the pricing based on what is the buyer willing to pay based on the rest of the inventory out there, not on something that sold last June. It has nothing to do with it anymore. We need a new little paradigm shift on the pricing deal of, because I can virtual shop and say, this one's going to sell before yours because it has these amenities. And even if it's $10,000 more or $50,000 more, they're more apt to choose that one, than this one. I can take my 27th Street listings. It's a basic house, 25 feet wide. The damn things have been built for years throughout the height. And I can run the comps of what they got for the ones at the 400 block of Cortland, what they got for the ones on West 17th, what they got. Those aren't out there anymore. You know what I'm competing against? The same thing that Amanda Anhorn had. It's the same house, one block over. It's the same house, and it's $687.5. Even though the comps say mine's worth $725. Can't buy those anymore, they're gone. I'm competing against the one that's $685, and mine's listed for $799. How easy do you think I can't sell that? People aren't that stupid. And they're not even gonna run the comps when they go and make their offer. They're gonna say, I can buy this one that's listed for $687,500. I probably can buy it for $650. Right? Yeah. I don't pay $687,500 for Amanda's that's been on the market for 2 years. So the comps don't have anything to do with what we're really going to sell them for. Because those things that sold last year, that's like averaging oil when it's 80, 60, 40, and you're going to say, I'm going to try and sell mine for 60. The market's over here at 40. You might sell yours at 38. You might get 41, but you're not going to get 60. The comps don't have anything to do with it. It's how much oil's coming to the market today and next month, and the anticipation for the month after that. But I think the inventory is a better gauge of what people are out there willing to do. Because I think we're going to sell more houses, but I think there's going to be more choices out there also.
Bill, I have a listing coming up in the listing agents before me, the other two, have had it on the market for so long and hasn't gone anywhere. And when I looked at the sold prices, it looks pretty reasonable. But when I looked at the competition, it was probably about $120,000.
All you need to look at for a while. I'm not saying never go back and look at stuff, but we're not in this balanced market, and I don't think that sold makes any difference, because I think it's
We
right.
brought the price down about 100,000, but I'm still uncertain if that is just a little.
The market will
high.
tell you, it's not like we still,
Because of what's out there. I mean, I shop for competition and
that is the number one thing I think we need to be doing for at least a period of time. I'm not saying never look at comp, but I would not use the comp in order to base my opinion on, when I'm gonna go put some of these things on the market in the fall, I'm gonna look at what else is out there that someone can choose. And then I do have to be realistic, if I have a 10-year-old house going back on the market or whatever, and there's, you know, a bunch of houses, and one's on the feeder road, 4th and I-10, it doesn't matter if it's $100,000 less than the one that's at the 1,500 block of Hartford. They're gonna buy the one at 1,500 block of Hartford. Probably not gonna buy that one. I mean, they're just not going to right now. I don't even think it's at $100,000 difference they would buy it.
so what's it gonna cost to change granite? I think the kitchen.
We can do this basic, this kitchen
What's
right
the
here.
granite?
If we want, the granite's about $3,000,
For the whole thing?
$3,500.
It's $40 a square foot.
Okay.
If it's just white Carrera marble or something, we're 216 Burns, a prime example. It cost me about $10,000 to go change this kitchen. We changed the hardware and the paint and the backline.
The labor and everything.
It's the labor and everything. About $10,000. If you'll just choose white subway tile and Carrera marble and knob about like this for $20, you can change that look. And they, Newcastle, we didn't put on the knobs. We just painted the house and they painted the kitchen for $3,500. We didn't change the countertops on that one. We just painted the cabinets that were stained beautifully white. But I mean, I think you need to tell yourself it's, you know, $10,000 or $12,000 to do a basic sort of kitchen.
$3,500 to paint the cabinet.
$3,500. Paint the cabinet. Paint the cabinet. Is
I'm
that
saying,
good?
the thing.
That's paint the cabinet.
Yeah.
About
In the
$100.
dump.
Yeah. Paint white.
Yeah.
Paint white. Yeah. Yep. These are great questions. No.
I'm digressing a little
That's
bit,
okay.
but open houses, so
Open
we're
house.
talking about all this, like it's hot, no one's coming in, I've had horrible open houses, but I've got 2 properties in nowhere. But I literally sit there, you know, with champagne and snacks, and if no one comes, I do the whole Facebook thing, I mean.
There weren't a lot of, you know, I can't come to your open house if I'm in Argentina. You know, so I think I would just give it a break, you know, for another 2 weeks. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people out there. We're better off, you know, putting it on Facebook and put on MLHAR, agent available on the open house area, say, hey, it's open, but I'm open by appointment only. Call me and I'll show you the house sort of thing. And then I would take a break. I would go to the beach next weekend. I would go meditate. I would go look at the stars every morning at midnight or whatever it takes to psych you up and work very, 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 very hard from September 15th through December 15th. That's what I would think is much better. I don't think there's going to be any activity this weekend or next weekend. And I think it almost does a disservice if we're people say, oh, it's been open all this time, and so you can sell it so forth less, you know. So you're almost better off giving it a little break, I think.
Okay, I'm going.
You're going? Yeah, I would go. I'd go. I would go on vacation.
I told you, Jenny.
Give myself
I told
a
you
mental
now.
break. So this is the only break you're gonna get, and then gear up and do it. And there again, I would do them longer in October. I would think even September, you know, but I would think outside the box. I would do one 3 to 6:30 in September if I was gonna do it. In October, I would do them 11:30 to 5:30. I would gear up to get the people when they're here. I don't think anybody is shopping for any fur coats today. And I think you gotta think of it kind of like that. Okay, let's go back to my statistical reports. So we recreated some of our reports and we did our own little Houston and then zip codes. Let's just do 009 let's do 008 because it was interesting. All right, let's click on 008.
Okay, we're coming.
This is 008?
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm just taking the Heights area, the Greater Heights area, and I'm looking at stuff and I'm going, okay, if I want to compare, I'm actually still The number of listings up pretty significant, up about 25% in the Heights area. When I go to compare the number of pending, I'm down about 10% in zip code 008, down a little bit, which is probably true.
Question, why are you looking at an April report?
Well, it's just giving me this, it updates every so often. I'm just being
It's
able to
Q,
compare.
yeah, they do Q1 and then there's a long
just
lag.
comparing I'm just showing you the trend of kind of what's going on out there. Closed, I'm just comparing something to something. Actually closed a few more, closed a few, I'm just comparing to the year before, how we're doing in general. So yeah, middle, overall doing okay, I think, in the Greater Heights area compared to the others. Go down, was there another one? Here's the market, I know that's up, I don't even have to talk about it, but you can see how significantly it is up. So significantly up, days on the market, median price probably down a little bit, average price per square foot probably down a little bit. I think I'm a realist in the Greater Heights area. It's way more competitive today. It was not competitive. I mean, it was unprecedented to have these sort of ratios, and now we're getting back in alignment. Not quite as bad as it was in 12 and 13, but you know, it's reality setting in zip code 08. Now, the thing I want you to know about this report, it is adding all of this stuff on the west side over here, which is troublesome. It is adding all of West 25th Street. It is adding all of 20. So we did a report just yesterday, again, from 20th Street to 23rd Street, 23rd Street to 28th Street. And it's strikingly different, just those three streets where what you can get in the $8-9 million buying here versus above 24th Street, there were no, even though there were 36 listings in this little geographic area. Many of them were in the 700s. The majority of them were in the low 700s to the high 799s, whatever. And the average of what sold was about $150,000 less. So the things at 600,000 are selling just fine. The things at 7 and 8 are not selling at all. The things 7 and 8 are willing to sell at 20th to 23rd Street because below there, we're getting 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 still at 16, 17 Columbia and at Petty and at 9th Street and all of those sort of things. And so I'm trying to sell $800,000 things in a $600,000 market. It isn't going to work over there. So this report is still telling me that the greater area is okay, but softer than it certainly used to be. Go to the 009 report, because it really, now I'm just going to kind of look at just Woodland Heights, because it'll tell me the difference of what's going on. And truly in Woodland Heights, if we just take the greater area of Woodland Heights, doing just fine or whatever, selling more houses than ever, even compared to 13 and 14, where the number of pending listings is just fine, in line with what's going on.
What's your price point there?
This is all, but remember the starting house is probably at about 500,000 to about $1.6 million. It's not the highest end, but this is kind of the sweet spot of the Heights. How's the sweet spot doing? And the sweet spot's doing just fine. The totally remodeled brand new houses sell fine. The 10-year-old unremodeled houses do not sell fine at any price point. They stay on the market. But overall, doing just fine when I compare these things of just the sweet spot, okay? Let's go to the West U, because I did one for West U, just to show you. It's a little softer in West U also. So here, you can see more listings than we used to have. You know, so we have more listings really than we ever had in 15 and in 14 and in 13. So 13, we had some leftovers from 2011 and 12. This is kind of in the peak. How we did, we didn't have enough houses for sale, which is causing a spike in West U. We're bumping on up here by the next year. Good time to go list, I guess, because you know, so what you're here. And now we're still higher than we were even at the peak. We have more listings than ever. This is, and I've taken out some of the areas of West U, but fine. Selling certainly had been softer in this section. You know, so I'm kind of comparing this one to this one. 15 did a little better than 14, but we had more to sell. Couldn't sell anything. We didn't have anything to sell. So that's why I think sometimes these numbers are up, because we just had more listings. Didn't mean it wasn't harder to sell, just had more listings. But softer, I mean, definitely softer. I compare this to this. The peak was probably 15, not 14 in West U, because they didn't have enough inventory in 14. versus the other markets that we were talking about. So, little softer in 2015, statistically speaking, makes them more particular. Their high-end market has suffered. Their high-end above 2 million has definitely suffered. Where the people that bought the land at 900 and a million and then tried to build something at 2.5, we're stuck over there. We can't get people to move there. They still move and we have clients trying to buy something in the 1 million, 3, 4, 5, 6 is kind of their high. We can't find anything. We've been trying. Everything they want is 1.8, so it doesn't mean what they want isn't out there. They just only want to pay 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 for it. The houses at 1.3, 4, and 5, they'll just like that. The houses at 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 2 million, they drop from 2 million to 1.8, there's no activity. They drop from 1.8 to 1.75, there's still no activity. That's a $250,000 drop. It hasn't resulted in anything happening yet. Meanwhile, the comfort zone over there appears to be 1 million, 3, 4, 5, maybe 1 million, 6 or whatever. Same thing, 1 million, 1 million, 2 over here seems to do just fine. 1 million, 6 doesn't seem to move so well.
2.7.
2.7, not as easy as it used to be. Prices softer also. I mean, the median price is down. People are more, That's just, we're trying to look at in the little microcosm. This has nothing to do with townhouses and nothing to do with lands and nothing to do with condos. I'm only focused on the single family housing market, predominantly in zip codes 08, 09, 07. And then the things over there in Westview. I pay attention to Montrose. I pay attention to the townhouses, but it's fairly bleak in the townhouse market. It's fairly bleak over there. Caceres, if you just glanced at Caceres and saw, there's one of us with Martha Turner's a friend of ours, wants this list. Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything they're not doing. You're not doing anything wrong. There wasn't a buyer for that house. We've got a meeting with the builder in Westview, some townhouses. They've got 6. They tried listing with the wife for a year. They tried listing with 5 different realtors for a year. We're on year 3 over here. I don't think any of those people are doing anything wrong. I think they're trying to sell $60 homes straight up for me. And so they have a better, and I wasn't going to sell in August, so they have a better chance of selling in October, November, December. Go and do something. And all this is predicated on the fact that we don't have any hurricane in the next month, just in case you wondered. Hurricanes are not good for the emotional buying. Yeah. Okay, so that's still the state of the market. It's about like what we've been saying. I think it's held up about what we're going to say. I think it's going to be fair. The numbers are going to be fairly soft in August. It's going to be hot. It's raining. The numbers aren't going to necessarily be up. It'll be okay. But I think emotionally, and the numbers that I see coming from the city and that sort of side of employment, sales tax, hotel occupancy, permits, all those sort of things are leading me to a more positive outlook in the 4th quarter of 2016. Because I think we can sell more houses. I think that we have to be realistic with the sellers of what it is that they need to do, and they need to think outside the box a little bit. And if they're going to do it, they need to do it, pretty damn soon.
What about the election? Do you think that's gonna have?
It creates uncertainty. These are weird times. The last 4 or 5 years, you just have a mindset in the world that you don't like who's there. It doesn't matter if we're in Italy or Great Britain or whatever. You don't like any incumbent government. Then here's the problem. The people want twice the services that they're receiving, and they want to pay half of what they're already paying. So the basic body is unrealistic. What they want costs twice as much as they're willing to pay for it. So every day they go out on their credit card and they charge $500 and they pay $250, and they want to go out the next day and keep doing more. We want better roads and free health care and all these sort of things. And we don't pay for them now. We're $500 billion to $1 trillion in debt additionally every year because we don't pay for the things that we have. Yet we want more. And so you wonder why the government you're frustrated. Same with it. This congressional district gets $3 for every dollar it pays in. Okay? For every dollar, US federal government dollar we get, the federal government comes back and spends $3 more than we pay in for Sheila Jackson Lee's district. That's why she gets reelected at 92% every year. People can talk about her all day long, but it's a very effective form of government. So people like their representatives and they hate the 434 other ones out there. Because they feel like they're ripping off the country when we're ripping off the country because we're not paying our fair share. And so I think you have this mindset in the election that, we want something different. You're automatically not going to have Obama again, so that appeases somebody. And who knows what's going to happen. I think if there's such uncertainty as a Trump win, it would cause the same thing as the Brexit. There would be an immediate impact, and then I think there'd be this wait and see what happens. And probably the reality of it is that Congress can even keep Donald Trump in check if they want to. There's going to be some major, landslide or something. So I think there's going to be some uncertainty. Most people would assume that Hillary would win. Most people would assume that the Republicans would still control Congress. I think it would help the country personally if we had a Democratic Congress and a Democratic president. We could get more accomplished. But I think the check and balance keeps us from falling off the edge. And there again, the Texan world is fairly isolated from the national world. So I think it has less impact today than it did 4 years ago, 8 years ago, or 12 years ago. I just think that the uncertainty is kind of expected. It's expected in mayoral races. It's expected in everything. It's just this mad rush not to elect an incumbent and see what happens.
But we still do.
Yeah, you tend to elect the re-elected people.
They pick their voters.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who goes on. I think there's going to be huge voter apathy. I think people, none of the above, it's probably going to win at 65%, and people vote or not, they're just disenfranchised. So it'll be interesting to see who goes and votes. 100 days, we'll see a lot can happen in 100 days. People say really stupid things the closer they get to elections. Often impact it is. I think the stock market, they have this thing today in the paper today. The stock market had the least volatility in the last 30 days than it's had in 30 years. The least amount of erratic movement. And why? There's all kinds of shit going on in the world, right? It's very erratic all the time, whatever. But it's the uncertainty hasn't caused the jitteriness, in the stock market because it doesn't know where to go. I don't think it's going to know where to go until after the election. It tends to be uncertain and go down, and it doesn't matter who wins, it tends to go up right after that. And I think there'll be some, if Donald Trump won, there'd be this huge surgence of some American pride thing, right? Gotta be red, white, and blue over here or something. May not be an inclusive red, white, and blue, but there's gonna be this nationalism, American sort of thing. It's not real, but I think there's gonna be that feeling going on out there, that America, just the same thing of the Britain pulling out of the deal. That is national pride. That is not wanting to be inclusive, involved, and mixing into a mixing bowl. That wants to be, let's look out for Great Britain and screw everyone else.
Protect your job.
Yeah, there's a whole mindset of,
Ever since I found out about it.
some of that stuff going on.
It's gonna.
But I think that it's, I think because I think if oil had stayed at $75 or $80 a barrel, we would have had this period of, the election would have impacted us more. We already had the impact. Our impact started last August or whatever. And we had the impact of all that uncertainty from August to December of 2015. So I don't see it getting any worse. I think it still probably gets better. Okay, general questions. I want to thank again Rhonda for being available. Any questions? Feel free to go to Rhonda. Feel free to, marketing is available. They're caught up. They can help you with, if you need a marketing plan, spend 2 or 3 weeks on a marketing plan of your image over there. If you have questions, we're going to spend a lot of time in September. So I know that I've been on this, and I've told my own self, wait. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Literally, my theme for September 15th through October 15th, instead of be somebody, it's do something. Okay? That is my theme of what I'm going to say. We're going to go do something. And we're going to go tell our sellers and the buyers, what to go do. We're going to be pretty specific with them over there. Do something.
I wanna be on that list.
Okay.
The- the bus
And I talked to her client. There is nothing you are going to be able to do. Do not lower the price, do not do anything, but you need to do it Labor Day weekend and get ready for September 15th. I mean, it's the truth. But I think that they didn't really want to hear that. And I felt like,
It actually helped her a lot.
it did, okay, good. I mean, I understand the point of doing something, but when you do something and there's nobody there, I think we just wasted a lot of energy that could be better served someplace else. So, yeah, just keep doing it over and over again. Okay, any other questions, comments? Probably won't have a sales meeting next, well, we can. I guess it would be next weekend is Labor Day weekend, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Labor Day
choose
weekend.
your closing?
How would I, what now?
How do you choose your title?
If I represent the seller, I need the title company to tell me if the buyer side is doing what they need to be doing. But if the mortgage company is not asking for the title commitment, and you know, I know they're not doing anything. If nobody's ordered any survey, it doesn't matter who orders it. I need the title company to check and see, is the lender gonna order it? Is the buyer's agent gonna order it? Is the buyer ordering it? So I choose the title company on who's gonna provide me the most information if I represent the seller. But I know the seller side, I just got to provide the payoff and show up at closing for the most part. But I need to know if the buyer side's doing anything or not. So when the buyer side goes and chooses, then I'm less likely to really know if they're doing anything or not. And so I'm left in a black hole. So I can't tell my clients that the buyer's doing anything or not. Now, I want to know, is the lender working on this file? Have we ordered the appraisal? Have we ordered the tax certificates? Have we, do they have any questions on the title work? That sort of thing. So that's really what I want to know. And so I choose one that's going to communicate with me. Now, as the broker, they're usually going to communicate with me, but I'll ask them specifically, even if it's tradition title that I'm forced to go use over here. I want to ask the question: has the mortgage company reached out to you? Do we have a contact person? It's just a place to start. We need to be able to talk to somebody. Do they have a copy of the contract? Do they have a copy of the amendment? Did they review the title commitment? Do they have any issues? Is there any issue that the mortgage company has? Have they, and then you're checking with the appraisal, but that's usually just checking with the lender. The title company is the easiest one to figure out if the mortgage company is doing something. So a level of communication is what I'm looking for. If I'm on the buyer side, it really doesn't matter so much as long as I'm working with the buyer's mortgage company, because that's all I really care about. And provided they want to have the flexibility to close when our people want to close. If I have a lawyer that can't close until after 6:30 or something complicated. But try and choose one. The thing to do, if you're an agent, you just need customer service is all it's about. Price is all fixed by the state of Texas. So you just need a relationship with someone that will provide what it is that you want. And, there's a lot of great ones out there that can do that. And this is they're hungry for business. And we're even going around, we even made a point. Del Fullen isn't the same level of health. I'm going to Charter. We're going to talk about what is it that I expect from you. And here's what when I represent the seller and the title company orders the survey, my title company damn well better give me the survey first before you give it to that buyer, because it impacts the buyer and the seller if there's a problem there. And survey companies make mistakes. So they send it to me first, I review it and say, okay, now you can send it to the buyer side. Even though the buyer's paying for it, the buyer probably ordered it. The title company's sending it to me. I don't want the other agent to see it, misread it, terminate, and then they tell me they terminated because of some easement issue, when maybe that easement was removed 50 years ago. So I want to be able to communicate with people first. So my title company would always send me the HUD review first before they blanket send it out to everyone. I'm going to make sure the taxes are prorated properly. I'm going to make sure the amendment's all ready. I'm not going to send 5 different HUDs to my seller or my buyer. I'm going to get it right first, then make sure it's all approved by the lender, and then they send it out to the certain side. So that's because I'm very proactive on how it works with title companies, and maybe I'm a little more intimidating than some because I demand that I do not send that information out the other side until you send it to me first. And that's what, I feel like I'm protecting my client, whether it's the buyer or seller that way. So that's really what you want.
Do you represent the buyer or are you asking for the survey first?
I am asking for the survey first, I represent the buyer. That's usually not the problem.
It's cool.
A lot of times we're ordering our own survey, so that I'm going to say, who's going to order it, and I'll just order it myself. You know, so that way I know that I'm getting it first, then I'm giving it to the title company. But if I represent the buyer, I represent the
I
seller.
do the same thing.
Yeah.
I want it first.
Sure you can.
Believe it, okay?
Yeah, sure you can. Sure you can. It's information. I mean, I can say I want that first. They're my title company, they're going to get business from us, they're going to do it. You have to, you know, they don't know, they're looking at it, it's wrong. A lot of the properties are, especially if there's 3 townhomes, you'd be surprised the number of times they survey B and they really wanted A, you know, they get it wrong all the time, so it's just nice to check it first. Same thing, you know, like I said, you might want, you know, there might be a swimming pool in the build line, you know, it happens all the time. There's nothing wrong with the swimming pool in the build line, but you have to be able to go over and educate the other side that it's okay, that you know, that doesn't mean that you can't build into the build line. Just you can build a building into the build line as long as it's fire rated, as long as it's permitted, as long as, you know, so you want to be able to know that information so that you can fend off a problem from the other side.
I have a test question for you.
Okay.
I think it was Mary Ann who said, "Oh, I went swimming there." My seller was not aware of the fact that there was a pool. And then
Pool where?
a pool at your backyard. I never.
But you didn't know there was a swimming pool in the backyard?
Because it's been filled in.
That was me.
It's been- Was it you? Oh, okay. You said it, but you were the second person. I was like, oh, okay, that's a new person.
Did they remove it or they just filled it?
I don't know.
Right? Before the current owner.
Oh.
Yeah, so
There
before
were
the
other
current
products.
owner and before the other current.
It wasn't
Right, I lived
disclosed there, there was ever a pool there.
Gotcha.
So I've been telling people. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
But I do not have an answer about whether it's been removed. It's been filled in.
You don't have to. You only have to provide them with the information that you have.
That's right.
Correct.
You
I know, and I
can't, you can't go make up
just that.
stuff and say,
Yeah.
like, you know,
And
thank
that's
you.
hearsay. You said it was filled in.
Yeah, you have to have proof one way or the
Right.
other.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so I've been.
You have to say this is important to you, then you can go find.
Yeah, and you just have to sell and modify
Other
the
resources.
I have no personal knowledge, but I've been informed by neighbors and friends that there was a swimming pool here at one time. Whether it's filled in or removed, I have no
Exactly
personal
what I've
knowledge.
said.
That's exactly what I've told you.
Should I put that in some sort of an email?
No, it's from other sources.
That, or like I say, modify the seller's disclosure.
Seller's disclosure.
Modify the seller's.
Modify the seller's disclosure, that way the seller has no potential liability later.
Okay.
You're designed to protect the seller, we represent the seller,
Yes.
so they should disclose what they know. I have no knowledge of this personally, but I've been told by others that there was a swimming pool here prior to my ownership, and I do not know if it has been removed or filled in.
Okay, where, okay.
I just put it in.
Where's the difference?
If it's there, let's say I wanna go build a building there later, now there's all this concrete there and it costs another $6,000 to remove it. It only costs about $2,000 to fill it in, it costs about $8,000 to take it out, so most people just fill it in.
Okay.
But if you ever wanna build there, you want to know that there.
Use 10 business development project.
I am.
I saw it yesterday that there are a number of builders, there are a number of houses being built, and it looks like they've got that sign, like that's the builder. So I read about it, and it's like they're a bridge project or they provide like gap funding. So is it for
Anyone-
low income only? or
I don't
can
know
anyone buy
that it's
those
low income, I think their major focus is, you know, neighborhood in general. So it wouldn't just be income, but it's probably a contributing factor. Same thing, in affordable housing project in Briar Grove, only 10% of it was affordable housing. Of the project, that was, you know, $240 million, only 10% of it was designated for low income.
Right.
There might be middle income, they might have a staggered deal, but what they're trying to do is preserve and protect the neighborhood. That's the most they're
Right.
trying to do, which is a racial background. I mean, it's a cultural background. It's, people maybe you commit to the neighborhood in some other way. So there was a nice article in the paper today.
Oh, okay.
There's another article today.
Is there, I guess I want to remind people about the back agent thing about listings that are coming up.
Yeah.
I've got 5 buyers right now and I have nothing to sell them.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, if these people have these things like choo-choo bungalows, things like that coming up, it'd be great to know about. That way I can tell them, hey, there is more stuff coming up here. Or if, just things like that, because people are starting to get frustrated when certain types of things aren't coming on the market anymore. Even with all this new inventory, certain things just aren't coming on the market.
Right.
And, if you have any.
Back agent is the perfect place. We can't get 42 emails a day from realtors asking, do you have this or that. And back agent is truly the mechanism we have so that we don't inundate you with
Right.
14 emails. So
That's
a great reminder.
first.
That's a great reminder. If you have a want or a need or something coming up, it's a perfect place to put it.
In our Facebook page too.
Yeah.
Which is only our age.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Questions, comments?
Once again, Drew.
Do you have time to look at the house with me to look and see what they
Because
I have a question for
Hot as hell. Is that air conditioning? Is that air conditioning?
Are you talking about
You're right.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be there. Just more like
Yeah, I mean, you're-
You can always value.
Other questions? All right, that's it. Thank you very, very much.
I want to get like a diamond.
Great.